If your feet feel secure, you feel balanced automatically. What would happen was the boots were great, but they would come back 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, and the boots had disintegrated because they weren't used to being in wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, because they weren't waterproof, which led me to think, well, how do I make a boot that fits like a leather boot, but it's waterproof like a gum boot? Fast forward 10 years, and here we are. What happens when it's on the sea? You think the container's coming, and then it's been delayed, and then it arrives, and it got to customs. Customs took it, and they wanted to X-ray it, which then you can't track it when it's being X-rayed. Then they release it. Then someone had to check it and had a spider, and the spider had to be then sent off to be tested. It's so out of control. I think that's the thing. I'm a control freak. And, the wharfies strike. So if the wharfies strike, it means that the containers don't get released from the wharf and taken to the depot, and your truck driver's just driven 5 hours to go and pick it up from the depot, and it's not at the depot, and your truck is ringing you and saying, I can't keep circling botany.
Welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast. My name is Mad Mumsy, and I've been driving the huge dump trucks in Australian open cut mines for over 10 years now. I wish I had $1 for everyone who said to me, how does a little thing like you drive those big trucks? You must be rich. How do I get a job doing that? My mining friends are asked these questions all the time too. This is what started the Mad Mumsy journey to share stories and tips from living a mining lifestyle and to let others know what it's really like. Tune in each episode as I sit down for a relaxed chat, usually over a few beers, with a fellow miner. Women and blokes with various experience, roles and opinions share their lessons and stories with you. Not everyone is cut out to be a miner, but why not? What does it take to thrive and survive in this industry? Now, let's dig in. Get it? Dig? Mining? Crack me up.
Hello and welcome to Beers with Mine podcast. My name is Mad Mumsy. This is episode 86 and today is another happy hour episode. I sit down and have a wonderful chat with Penny Crawford from Crawford Boots. My sister and I and me never know which one it's meant to be. I should learn that, but I'm too old. I have followed her on LinkedIn for quite a while and she's amazing. She was, as you'll hear in this podcast, a podiatrist for over 30 years and now is a business owner of Crawford Boots, founder, creator, amazing bloody legend, created wellies, or gumboots as she calls them, that many of our underground miners will relate to, and why she found the passion and drive to do all that she can to create boots that are supportive for people who have to wear waterproof, knee-length boots in whatever industry you're in. Of course, for us, we're sticking to mining mostly, but she's amazing. She's now, as most of my guests end up, a beautiful friend and always was on LinkedIn and a fantastic supporter of Steel Cap Sisters and all that we're doing there with Steel Cap Sisters and the What Boots branding and the podcast and anything we put out. Always get a like and a comment from Penny. She's a bloody legend. Come and meet her. We're going long, but it's worth it. Hang in there and it doesn't matter if you don't work underground. You might be thinking, I don't have to wear those boots, so who gives a We talk about feet. We talk about kids' feet because we were talking about my grandson who would only wear wellies right up until he was about 5, I think, 4 or 5. We finally got him to try on thongs, and she spoke about the logistics of why that is the case. So if you've got a toddler, be it your own toddler or your grandkid or a friend who's wearing only wellies, it's quite common. I see them around now and I think, I remember that. And also we talk about, I had a lot of issues with my feet on and off, and we speak about why that could be the case and what I've done to fix them. How to look after your feet when you're in mining, how to look after your boots. Come along, have a chat. It's bloody awesome. She was drinking water, but you know me, I was drinking beer, so I held up our end of the bargain. Beers with a Miner podcast. Let's go meet Penny Crawford from Crawford Boots.
Hello, Penny. Welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast. By the time this goes live, I have shared how freaking awesome you are already. But I want to say I'm really looking forward to finally chatting with you. We've come close a few times, so it's really good. And welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. And what an awesome introduction. I'm looking forward to chatting with you as well.
And as this podcast is called the Beers with a Miner podcast. Yes, it has been a long time coming, it feels like. We've come close, and then we were going to do it 2 weeks ago, and I got crook, and then you were away swanning around in Sydney at some big convention and things last week, which was great. I saw some of that on your LinkedIn posts, and very exciting. I want to hear about all about that later. But as this podcast is called the Beers with a Miner podcast, I like to start these happy hour episodes with my guests sharing their favourite beverage and also their favourite time to enjoy it. It could be beer, wine, spirit, or perhaps even a cup of tea. What is yours, Penny?
Well, I'd have to say my favourite beverage is bubbles, and usually Friday afternoon. It's just perfect to sit down at the end of a long week and have a glass of bubbles. But my second favourite would have to be a cup of tea. So, there you go, polar opposites.
And by bubbles, do you mean champagne?
Well, I call it champagne, but I think, is that politically incorrect? It's called sparkling or something now.
Mate, there's none of that here.
Champagne, yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, nice. Yes. Yeah. I have that on, if it's Melbourne Cup, or Mum usually cracks a bottle of champagne if it's a special occasion, so I'll have a glass, and I do like that.
Yeah, I know. It's always been a sort of a special occasion drink, but no, it's my Friday night go-to.
And that's a special occasion in itself, isn't it?
Well, that's right. Every day is a special occasion, but Friday especially.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll hear all about that. So I guess I want to start off with, you're a podiatrist. That's correct, isn't it?
That is correct. My past life, podiatry.
Yes, past life before Crawford Boots past life?
Correct.
Yes, yeah. So what made you choose to be a podiatrist and hang out with people's feet?
I know. Look, it's interesting, isn't it? When I left school, I actually did landscape architecture for a year, and that was not me. And I think after a year of doing that, my mother said to me, well, gosh, why don't you do podiatry? And I thought, I don't even know what podiatry is. And basically, truly, and just enrolled. And it was at Sydney Tech then, so it was pretty easy to get in. I think you basically had to sit an interview. There was no marks involved. And went and absolutely loved it. Can't believe it. And most people... I suppose the reaction from the general public is, oh, my gosh, you deal with people's feet. But it was also the feet are connected to a body, and there was a human, and it was dealing with people and helping them. And, I can't say I miss it now, but I did it for 30 years, and so I did love it.
My God, you don't look that old.
Oh, you're so kind. I feel so old.
No, I'm true. I'm shocked. 30 years. Wow. Yeah. So my best friend is a reflexologist.
Perfect.
She does reflexology. Oh, and I get lots of nice foot rubs and it's just amazing. It's so good. And I say that to her, and she says the same thing about there's a person on the end of the feet. And also while she's doing that, she's talking to them and like getting your hair done kind of, you know, the connection that she finds with it. And she ended up setting up Wellness Corner in Marion here in Queensland, and is as a place for people to come and set up whatever their modality is, because she was just trying to do it out of the garage at home. And, you know, she said, I need somewhere to go. So she set up this place where people come, and the energy around having your feet rubbed, and even when you go and get your toes done.
Well, I know, and that's the whole thing too. And I do think it is such a personal part of your body. So someone letting you touch that and treat that, and there's a level of trust. There's that relationship, and I think that's what's helped me, especially with this, my second life being with Crawford Boots, was that ability to build relationships and have those conversations. And, you know, you're seeing, say, 20 people each day, 5 days a week. It's a lot of people, and that ability to have those conversations, but also to be able to help. And, I mean, reflexology and the other I don't want to call them alternate, but they're not alternate modalities, but ones that also complement our normal Western medicine are just so important, because if your feet feel good, you feel good. You know, same as massage, the same as there's acupuncture, there's basically a space for all those sorts of things. So it would be lovely. I mean, wellness centres are popping up everywhere, and they're so needed.
I've had so much trouble with my feet in the last probably 5 years. I got to a point I was having trouble even walking. When I first got out of mining, I went to work for our local strawberry farm just for something to do, and I knew them and they asked me to come and help. And I was doing like 12 kilometres a day in low-budget shoes, literally, you know, cheap sneakers, and I was used to wearing steel cap boots for 13 years, which you get a good pair of boots. You can wear them all day.
Happy days.
It's like it is happy days, exactly. But I also, you know, we're in central Queensland, so I lived in thongs, and I was just living in the funky, cheap Kmart thongs, and they were about $3. But literally $3, and I'm like, these are a bargain, but look, they're hot pink and they're this and they're that. And I was either at work in steel cap boots or at home in my thongs. But then when I got out of mining and was doing this, my feet really struggled. My soles of my feet hurt so much. And so my sister, Hard Hat Mentor, my listeners know her. You know her.
I do, yes.
From LinkedIn. Yeah, she started sending me over good thongs and Crocs, better quality. And now I just wear those. I can go bare feet now. But I think since seeing Michelle and getting the some reflexology on my feet as well, and just being aware of them, you don't even think about your feet.
Well, I think that's exactly right. It's the awareness, and you're not thinking about any part of your body until it hurts. And when your feet hurt, it's just everything. Everything you do is painful, and you don't realise how important just that little bit of cushioning, or you don't realise how if you've always worn completely flat-soled shoes, it changes your centre of gravity, which affects your hamstrings, which affects your lower back. So your feet are your foundation. So your building foundations have to be stable and solid. Otherwise, you have issues higher up. And it's exactly the same with your feet. Like people will have neck pain, lower back pain, thoracic pain, buttock, hamstring, calf pain, all because of their posture in their feet. So it's quite interesting. And as I said, you don't realise until it actually starts to hurt and you think, why? Thongs are not great. Having said that, my husband would live in thongs if he had the chance. But it's just that gripping of the toes. It's that completely flat surface and often the lack of cushioning.
Gripping of the toes. I never even thought of
So
that.
you know, with
I
your
can
thongs,
I can
you
vision
grip.
my
Yeah.
I'm just visioning my youngest grandson, who it was quite a chore to get him out of wellies. You know, gum boots, I think we always call them wellies. I'm from South Australia, you know, real pommy slant on most of my things. And he wouldn't go anywhere without them, which is good up here when it's raining, but, you know, he's wearing his shorts and his wellies. But we finally got him into thongs, and they had the elastic on the back.
Yes, yep, perfect.
For, you know, transitioning. But he found it really hard. And when you said about the gripping of the toes, that's exactly what I noticed he was doing. And then he'd get a bit of a run up because, you know, he's 3 or 4 or something. And so they're going 100 miles an hour and he'd fall over. And then eventually he got to a point where we cut the elastic off the back. And now he's good as gold and will wear any shoes. But he had a lot of issues around what he would wear. And all he would wear were boots.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because they support maybe, or
well, I think it's also that feeling of it's held onto your foot. So, like when you look at a little person when they're starting to walk, their toes grip because that's their way of maintaining stability. It means they're unstable. And when you're in a thong, you often are unstable, or you've got to actually physically lift the thong as well, which is why the strap at the back's perfect because you don't actually have to physically lift it. And that's what I found when I had my patients coming in who had been wearing gum boots that were loose fitting. Exactly the same thing happens. Their toes were gripping to keep the gum boot on, to lift their foot up out of the water to be able to take that next step. And it's like, I kept saying it's the equivalent of running a marathon in a pair of thongs. The fact that, you know, that overuse of those little intrinsic toe muscles, which then are related to your arch muscle, which are then related to your calf muscle, hamstring, etc. And doing that, unconditionally for years and years and years, you can develop sort of a lot of chronic changes and chronic problems. So, yeah, it starts, it's just interesting watching, and that was one thing, being a podiatrist and understanding how the foot works, how you're meant to walk properly, all the different nerve receptors, the different muscles, and knowing what happens when you're little compared to as you grow up. If you haven't got that muscle, got the muscle imbalance, and you've got incorrect footwear and incorrect foot biomechanics, the way the foot functions. So, yeah. But I always found, like being a podiatrist, I'd see, a lot of people that had chronic fatigue, and there's nothing medical. This is just purely me, 30 years of looking at this. People who had trauma or chronic fatigue or something like that, I often found they would have this really undiagnosed foot pain. Like it was almost like it worked its way, it was working its way out of its body and coming out your feet. And I know that sounds weird, but
not to me, mate.
It truly was like there was, I don't know, it was weird. And that's just, I always thought when people would come in and, you couldn't sort of pinpoint why the feet were painful, but, when you question them more, they've had sort of these terrible years, or they've had this, like as I said, it was either a chronic fatigue or something that had just knocked out their system. And trauma can do that. Like, if you're in trauma, your body is just in hyper alert and it's draining and it's exhausting. And, maybe that was also part of your foot problem too.
Oh, wow. That's huge. And I'm very woo-woo, I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And that makes total sense to me. And when you say it's very draining, draining is going down and out, isn't it? And it's at the bottom of the drain. Like being a truck driver, you're at the bottom of the shit heap.
Yeah.
Everything rolls downhill. I never thought about that. And as my circumstances have improved, so have my feet.
I know. So I really do think this is about, again, podiatry, we talk about the feet, but again, it's looking at holistic. Like I can tell when kids used to walk, they'd come in, they might have had a problem with their walking or their gait or whatever. you could actually tell what sort of child they were. Were they relaxed? Were they chilled? Were they anxiety-ridden from the way they walked? And you can even tell that with humans, not humans, older people, what sort of personality they are by the way they walk. And it's looking at a whole. It's not looking just at the feet. And the same with anything. Trauma, it affects all of you in certain ways, like whether it's, physiological, psychological,
Oh, wow. Yes. It makes total sense to me.
So your little
really
one,
does.
Was probably very cautious. So everything he did was cautious when he stepped.
Yeah.
There was actually trying to make sure there was solid ground underneath his feet before he took that next step. Whereas now the fact that he can run, and they're supposed to fall. Kids have to fall because it's their neurological system working. So their brain says, okay, I fell to the left, next time I have to fall to the right. So it gives them the balance, and it means kids these days don't have great balance because parents are always holding their hands, or parents are not letting them climb trees and falls, or, do that sort of thing. But, you often can tell, like, if a child is cautious by the way that they look, to you before they step. Even if their balance is bad, they'll be always with their head down, looking where they're stepping. Whereas, most people should have their head up when they walk because they know that their foot's going to be on solid ground. The older you get, the more you look down as well. And, it's just interesting. You as a whole. Yeah.
I'm finding that too when I walk out of where I'm working now and I'm looking down at the step.
Yeah.
But if I've still got my glasses on, I'm looking down. Like, it's not I think it'll make me fall if I look down with my glasses on.
Yeah,
because they're reading glasses. It's not.
I know, but it's so interesting.
But I'm in and out all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not something. Yeah, it's only recently that I've noticed that I'm looking down, and as I'm looking down, I think I shouldn't be looking down because it feels weird because I've got my glasses on.
I know, but it's our way of knowing. But also it's our way of knowing that we're probably, like now, if I'm going to walk around rocks near a beach or something, oh, my God, my head will be down because I'll be thinking, how do I get to that step? I don't have that balance. Like, I have balance, but, you just don't have the balance you had 20 years ago. And so you're a lot more cautious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called growing up, right?
Oh, God, it's called growing old.
And so underground miners wear different boots than us landscape gardeners, gravel scratchers, whatever you want to call us, open cut. So we wear the shorter ones. When I first started, actually, we had real short steel cap boots, but now you have to have the ones with the ankle support on most sites, and you have to do the laces up. And then, I've recently discovered the ones that they have the laces, but they have the zip on the side. Oh, where were they 13 years ago?
Exactly.
It's so good. Oh, my God, I love them. But underground they wear long because because they're in water so much? And so what you're saying about wearing wellies, gumboots, and your feet aren't supported, like you have to grip like with thongs, if you're doing that day in, day out, underground or wherever you are in whatever industry, like butchers and all that probably as well, people who have to wear those sort of things, if they're not good fitting and your feet stuff up, and like you've just explained, that can do your back, it can do your neck, it can do everything else. So it's really important to have good boots, but I've never thought about it for the long boots. The only ones I've seen in the open cut, in my experience, have been the pumpies, the people going doing all the water moving around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing about it was underground is such a different environment. Like, it's dark, there is uneven ground, it's often covered in water. You can be up to almost your knees in water, and you're often walking in wheel ruts. And if you're doing that, like some areas, there'll be people walking 12 kilometres a day through those sorts of conditions. And if you're already on unstable ground and you're in a boot that doesn't fit properly, So your muscles in your feet are overworking to keep you balanced. There's more slips, trips, falls, and sort of your immediate type of injuries, as well as those chronic long-term ones of doing it for 12 hours a day for how many years. So when I started to investigate this, I actually had a call from this great, fantastic guy called Nick Wild from Whitehaven, and he sort of rang me and said, look, we're having, lots of issues. Can you just tell me, is it a biomechanical, is it footwear, what do we do? So I'd get these guys coming in, and to be honest, I couldn't believe they still wore gumboots. I thought there'd have to be some sort of special gumboot because you do require that really good support. And, if you think about joggers, so we've gone from a Dunlop volley, what we all wore, to, what we've got now. But you couldn't imagine people wearing a Dunlop volley to play a game of tennis or to run a marathon or to do whatever. Yet these people are underground walking that incredible distance in a shoe that didn't fit properly. So I'd put them in leather. Yep.
I've got my hand up.
Yep.
They would have had to have been steel cap?
Yeah, they were steel
cap.
Yep, they had all the safety measures you need to, but just the fact that they still were quite big and bulky like your regular gumboot, like the gumboot that's been around forever. So gumboots traditionally don't fit around that front of the ankle area. So what people would do is they'd whack in a couple of inner soles, and all that would do is raise your foot, but it doesn't fit the gap here. That front area. That's where your foot flops around.
Showing me a boot.
I know.
Screenshot that, Mad Mumsy.
So
yes.
So the foot, when you walk, it slides up and down. If it slides up and down, the toes grip to make sure that when you walk, the foot doesn't come out the boot and the boot doesn't stay stuck in the mud. So I put the guys in leather lace-up boots because it would give them that good support and that good fit, and they would be able to wear the shoes and know that their feet were safe and secure. And it's sort of called ankle joint proprioception. It's about your balance. If your feet feel secure, you feel balanced automatically. So what would happen was the boots were great, but they would come back, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, and the boots had disintegrated because they weren't used to being in wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, because they weren't sort of waterproof, which led me to think, well, how do I make a boot that fits like a leather boot, but it's waterproof like a gum boot? So fast forward 10 years, and here we are.
Wow. So it's been that long. It's been 10 years since you had that thought.
10 years since I started developing them. Yes, it's not since I had the thought. I probably had the thought years before that, but I was a bit of a gunner. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I sort of thought, no, just do it. But 10 years later.
Just do it. So the perfect segue, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to do my favourite sound in the world and open a can of beer. Are you ready?
Yep.
There we go. And I'm going to pour it into my wine glass for my listeners because I don't drink red wine anymore, remember? I've lost 10 kilos.
Well done to you.
Now for a word from our sponsor, Julia Hartman and the Bantax Accounting Group. Julia's my awesome accountant. She's written 2 books with financial expert Noel Whittaker, and she's got a passion to help us miners make the most out of our hard-earned cash. She's got heaps of tips and makes sure that we get every cent we are meant to get and is right on the ball with everything. If you head to bantax.com.au/miners, that's BANTACS, you can download a free booklet all just for us miners. And there's also a spreadsheet in there that helps you check off what tools you have for your trade, like your isolation lock, work boots, 7 shirts, all of these sorts of things, and you can weigh them up and it'll tell you if you qualify weight-wise to claim your trips out to work. And that's just one of the things that they've got over there. So I strongly urge you to head to bantax.com.au/miners and see what they can do and find your nearest office as we come up to tax time. They're really on the ball, know what's going on with the tax department, and there's heaps of other free information like property investing. If you really plan on doing some great things with your money, you want to do that, right? If you want to sell your house, can save a lot of money if you find out what to do first rather than in hindsight. And Julia, she'll, make sure you get it right. And if you do it wrong and then go and see her, she'll up you in the nicest possible way, because she really cares about us and wants us to keep our money and not give it to the tax department. Anyway, head over to bantax.com.au/miners and tell them Mad Mumsy sent you. So you're saying about the long boots for the underground with the lace-ups, and that's what the real miner has.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of pairs here. Well, I'll get to this in a minute. I've got 3 left out of 4.
Yep.
I'll tell you why in a sec. And they're lace-ups. And I'll share some photos of those in the show notes, which will be found at madmumsy.com/beers86, number 86. And that's where all the links for everything. And if you're listening and you're on most of the podcast apps nowadays, you can have a look at these while you're listening. So you'll be able to go to the show notes and all the links that I share. You can have a look at the Crawford boots. You can have a look at Real Miners lace-up boots and any other links we talk about at the same time as you're listening to our conversation, which is great. They never had that when I started in 2016, that's for sure. But I need to ask, the lace-ups, how annoying would those laces be? It was hard enough doing laces up to my ankles, let alone up to just under your knees.
Well, the lace-ups, and they had, there's ones that have got like a zip up the middle, and there's ones that have got like a wire that they sort of tighten, which acts as the lace. So it's sort of one of those, I don't know how you describe it. It's just like a twist thing. So you twist it to tighten it. But a lot of the guys had issues with that because of the different not contaminants, but what's underground, in the water and etc. And also the thing was, they're still leather. So even though they might be waterproof, they're still leather. So they're not going to cope with being wet and going into a drying room and being dried, and they tend to crack and change. And a lot of guys wouldn't do them up properly, lace them up, because they sort of restricted that ability to be able to propel off. You sort of had a very abnormal gait pattern or walking pattern because you had trouble sort of bending your leg in the boot. A bit like ski boots, they lock you in type of thing, and you couldn't bend
motorbike
forward.
Boots.
Yeah.
I raced motorbikes as a kid, for 15 years or something, and as I saw the boots progress. And the funky ones I have now, they all have like a joint at their ankle.
Yeah, so you can flex.
And we never had that. We'd walk like, robots.
Exactly. So all these sorts of things, you don't think about it, but you don't want to change your walking pattern too much, because then that changes everything else, doesn't it? And you feel stable.
Which we now know. I never even thought of that before. Oh, see, there's another reason to talk to you, Penny.
Yeah.
What other industries other than mining are you supplying your boots to now?
Well, we've got them in tunnelling. So they're trialling them in a tunnelling project, and they're really thinking they're fantastic in the excavation phase of the tunnelling project. We've got them in...
Is that like under tunnel? Sorry.
Yeah, like West Connect sort of things.
Under a river, sort of?
So it's like your West Connects or your North Connects. So it's basically the tunnels that we will be driving in. But prior to that, they've got to excavate, which means there'll be lots of water and slush, etc. So those sorts of conditions. My boots are perfect for really harsh workplace conditions where there's lots of water, there's lots of mud. So I've got some farmers that wear them and they love them, some dairy farmers. They're used at a waste management plant where there's a lot of leachate, etc. So they're really good in those sorts of conditions.
A lot of what, sorry?
Leachates? No, leachates. So it's like a chemical. Yeah.
I thought you meant leeches, like what you get in the creek.
No, we could probably use them for that too. But I imagine it's called leachate. I don't know. It's leachates. Leachates.
That's how I'd say it. Yeah.
So, just some nasty, like just different sorts of chemicals and stuff and such protection. And it's water. And so, look, that's the industries that they're in. I think there's a lot of industries they could be applicable for, but I suppose I'm a bit of a one-person operation, so there's only so many hours in a day.
Well, and so many things I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with, and I still, we don't know what yet, the best material that isn't leather but is waterproof, but isn't just waterproof, that is that? And obviously you did a lot of research and stuff, so what did you end up with?
So what I've ended up with is rubber, and rubber was a really conscious decision. I didn't want to use PVC. I wanted to use a natural product, and I wanted to make sure that, so my boots are actually handmade, so they're not injection molded.
So are you doing that as well?
No, gosh, no. Oh, no.
Sorry, I had to say that. Oh, my God.
I've got a factory overseas in Malaysia, and they do a lot of contract manufacturing for a lot of reputable companies, and they do my boots as well. So I visited them quite a few times and worked with them for probably 3 years with R&D, because you can design a boot, but can you actually manufacture it? So, you can spend so many years designing something, and if you can't manufacture it, or if you have to manufacture it and it costs so much money that no one's going to pay for it, it's sort of a pointless exercise. But I knew where I wanted to improve, and I knew that I wanted that heel and ankle support. I knew I wanted the lining to not be gauze. I wanted it to be like a neoprene, which it is, with antimicrobial and antifungal. I knew I wanted to have a zipper in there. I knew there were certain things that I wanted to have in this boot. So, but basically the boots are rubber because it's a natural product, and it can, at its end of life, be recycled, whereas PVC can't. Or I should say it can't, it's harder. So that was all sort of a conscious decision when I was choosing my materials.
And how good is that?
It is good.
Oh, go you, right? that is, and it's the way the world is going. And when you were thinking like that back then, you may have been, but to know where the world is at now, and they're looking for sustainable products, or more climate friendly and all of that. I don't know the right words, but
circular economy. Yeah, so it's just about thinking about, because I'm from the throwaway generation. Basically, throw it away and get something else. And it was always sort of quite on my mind the fact that we can't keep just doing that, and also we can't keep exporting our rubbish to other countries. We've got to be responsible for it. We've got to look at how can we be part of this circular economy and recycle and look for sustainable products rather than a lot of plastics and a lot of things that can't be broken down. Then I say that, look, they're doing so much with plastics and things now, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's right, because people are researching and technology changes and evolves and that. But, yeah, I love the circular economy concept. Oh, look, there's a train. Did you hear it?
No, I can't hear it at all.
Oh, I just blew its horn. It's because I got my ear thing.
Oh.
You know what that means? Time for a drink.
Time for a drink. My responsible alcohol consumption, water.
You are. Go you. I'm so proud. I always, like my listeners know, I'm having a beer. So, Penny, how did you get connected from being a podiatrist, noticing about people's feet and how it affects their bodies, and then thinking people need better boots and having miners come to you? Is that where the connection came to create the boot for mining companies or for people in the mining industry? And then how did you get in? How did you say, here's my boot, want to try it?
Well, it started basically with Whitehaven and Nick Wild and going underground. So basically I'd go underground and I'd talk to them and they were happy to rip off their boots and show me their feet and tell me everything that was wrong with them. And so
Really?
it was very much, yeah.
Bloody real miners, eh? Show us your feet, mate. That's classic.
Yeah, so I found that I had that first-hand feedback of what was wrong, what they wanted to change. I knew what I thought, but then that's not, I'm not working underground. So I had to, really listen to them and what they wanted to see and change. And then when I built the boot, I went back to Whitehaven, and because they'd been sort of such good supporters, and they were like, yep, we'll trial them. So we did some sort of intensive trials. And then I think from there, what really helped was winning that New South Wales Minerals Council Health Innovation Award. And that was just, I know, it was.
I'm so happy.
I know.
Girl.
It was so exciting. And I think that just all of a sudden opened up other companies' eyes. And I think because they just always thought, oh, well, we've just got boots. This is just the boots. And there's so many other things that they've got to be aware of in terms of safety that they probably hadn't. You just put up with it. And I think there's a couple of other really proactive sites like Centennial Coal, in particular Mayuna, and Mick Townsend. He was just like, yep, we want to try them too. And you just get some really good people in companies who are like, you want to obviously reduce injuries, but also if you're, what it was like having sore feet. You know how unproductive you are. You know what it's like. So imagine if you've got your whole workforce, with that sort of, in pain. It's not a great atmosphere. So often Mick, when I talk to him, he goes, look, the safety's great, but it's the comfort. It's just the fact that the guys are comfortable, which makes the world of difference. So those sorts of things. And it just sort of went from there. There was a few mines in New South Wales and then WA and then Queensland. And, so it's taken off, which is fantastic. I mean, obviously there's still more, but we're getting there step by step, excuse the pun.
Oh, no, I love it. Like, what boots?
Yeah.
What boots, step by step, like Steel Cab Sisters, eh? Right. So you are are you consciously choosing on just focusing on the wellies, the gumboot style, or are you also thinking about the shorter style?
Look, at this stage, I'm still doing the long ones because when I initially developed my first prototype, they actually were sloping at the back. So they were a bit lower at the back, which allowed for the calf muscle, for those with sort of bigger calf muscles. But the feedback the overwhelming feedback was, no, you cannot go any shorter because the height is so important in terms of waterproofness and making sure water doesn't get in. So I haven't thought about going lower. And the thing is, when you and people have said to me, oh, could you do a pink one? Could you do a red one? Could you do a...
All right, that's a question I had written down.
No, but the thing about it is that, like, when you can't just, like, you're ordering 2,000 pairs of boots. So if someone wants to buy 2,000 pink ones, that's fabulous. But this is the thing. So if I was going to get shorter ones, I've got to go and find a market that would want shorter ones. And, there's lots of different possibilities in terms of further development. But at the moment, as I keep saying, like, I'm a one-person operation and I really wanted to help people who are in gumboots 10 to 12 hours a day. That was really my aim. So, yeah.
And, you know, this is Beers with a Minor podcast and you're allowed to swear. I didn't quite say that at the start. But there's a fucking shitload of people who wear gumboots,
absolutely,
style boots for that long and longer. So you don't need to go into other markets where other people already are.
That's right.
Yeah. Are there many other people? We don't want to give away any secrets. Are there many other? Don't let everyone in on this, that there's a market for it. But are there any other people doing innovative stuff for underground and, like, I still see them as underground boots.
Yeah, no, they're definitely underground, yeah.
Wellies, but wellies with the level of support from a podiatrist. There's just not, is there?
Well, there are in other footwear. So with the leather boots, Yep. Look, I know 3 podiatrists who are involved with developing boots. Actually, one's a football boot and the others are sort of work boots. But not in the gumboot space. It's really interesting. There's really been nothing. And I think it's because how do you gumboots are traditionally injection molded and they're one size fits all type of thing around that ankle area.
Yeah.
And that's why with the inserts, you've got the insert acts like a tongue and a lace does in a shoe. When you lace up your shoe with your tongue, it pushes your heel towards the back, which means that your foot is then sort of secured in the heel. And when you step, your heel doesn't rise up and down. So it just makes that more comfortable walking pattern, especially if you're walking for a long period of time. So, and that's the patented part about the boot. So that's sort of the innovative part about the boot.
And are they? Does everyone try on do you try in a different insert to see which one fits you?
Yeah, it's a bit like the old Cinderella. Like every pair of boots.
Wasn't she young? Wasn't Cinderella young?
Of course she was young, like us.
Sorry.
So you get different coloured inserts and they're just different thickness. So this is a side view, cut down boot.
Penny is demonstrating now. I shall share pictures on the.
So that's where the insert sits. So basically where your tongue does in your shoe, and it pushes your heel towards the back. So you can fill that gap with a thick, you can fill that gap with a thinner, or even thin. So your left foot might want a small and your right foot might want a large because no 2 feet are the same. And it means once you put that down in that pocket, it just stays there. So you can zip, unzip. So
it's like a pocket, and it's at the front of the boot, not on the inside.
That's
Is it on the inside?
Yep. So it's in the inside lining. So you slide it down, and basically you leave it there. It just stays in that pocket, and you zip and unzip. So that's a full boot. So you just
this is so
zip
cool.
and unzip and. Yeah, so the insert basically sits here.
Yeah, right. And so it's like a filler for that gap that you were talking about at the start that wellies don't have. And you have to grip your feet, which messes up your whole freaking body.
Well, that's exactly right. So that's it.
Oh, I love you so much to think of that. I love you anyway. but to see that and vision it, and like you say, you're kind of talking yourself down there about being a gunner, Oh no! Look. You needed to sit with it for a while, probably, to let it meld in, and then to get your feedback and to do the things, and then now it's like, bam, man, get out. It is already, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's right. And I think too, I suppose I was working full time. I had 2 children. Like there was lots of things happening in life.
That's right. Life.
And that wasn't sort of my priority. And it probably wasn't until I retired from podiatry, I really made a conscious decision to not have this as my side hustle anymore, to just go, okay, I really have to put all my energy and, we've got a lot of skin in the game. So, yeah. So, when you've got a lot of skin in the game, you've got to make it work.
You do. That's right. And does it feel like it's working?
It does. Oh, look, there's been some scary times. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God.
But that's the same with anybody. Lots of
Especially
roadblocks.
entrepreneurs and
It's such a
people
weird word,
changing the world.
I think, yeah, look, I'm really lucky. My husband is a great supporter. He's a little bit of a negative person, so lots of times he goes, "Oh God, really? Do you need to do that?" But when it comes down to, we got to the stage where I'd retired. He was working elsewhere and he'd fallen off his motorbike, so he couldn't work. We were in the middle of a drought. We'd sold all our cattle, which basically was our livelihood, and we put it all into the container of boots. So then I'm thinking, oh my God, what happens?
Now I've got to sell them.
Oh my God, what happens if this fails? I'd had feedback from one mine site that said it was great, but did that mean that everybody thought that, and they're never going to fit everybody, but it was, I think that was probably.
Does it mean they're going to buy it?
Yes.
As well,
right?
Yeah.
It was, that was probably the scare. Yeah, I was really scared. I must admit, don't get too scared that often, but I was really scared. Like, I really thought, oh my God, we've worked for 30 years and now I'm about to blow that up.
And now it's time to blow it up in a good way.
Well, it is, but I think, again, same thing. Like, when you sort of hanging out there like that, you make it work.
Yeah. It's nothing like what you're doing and what you're going through, but I know I'm a deadline-driven person, so that's why I'm so freaking proud that last night I sat down and wrote out a couple of notes and set up my microphone and my headphones and where do I want the camera to point for when I get home from work, because I won't be here long, and then bang, I'm doing an interview, whereas in the past it would have been, oh my God, I'm home. Now, who am I talking to? What am I doing? Because I let life get in the way. But I'm starting to come out of a couple of year big holes, and I'm changing the way I'm looking at life and the way I'm doing things, and when you have those little wins along the way, Penny, they're the ones that go, no, this we're right. This is what I'm doing. You're making the right choices. I'm thinking of you, like, because we were going to talk when we were initially lining up having a chat. And you said, oh, it's container day. The container was coming in, and I could just tell by the way you worded it. I was like, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. That's all right. And then I got sick, and then you went to Sydney for that convention thing. What was that convention again?
It was actually the Queensland. I was in Queensland. I was at the Gold Coast at the Queensland Mining.
Oh, that's right.
Health and safety.
It feels so close.
I know, it was so beautiful. Gold Coast is so beautiful. So that was a nice little breakaway.
Where are you based again?
In Gunnedah. So we're basically halfway.
Which is New South Wales for people. Oh,
so
sorry.
Halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, inland. So we're west, about an hour west of Tamworth.
Oh, right.
Oh, that sounds, when you go, right, yep. So it's 5 hours to the coast.
No, it's my brain. Yeah. That is, nothing bad about that. Yeah. That is my brain doing two things. It was clicking in, like, oh, I know where you are.
Yeah.
And it was thinking, oh, Tamworth, the music festival. Has she ever gone there? Have you ever been?
Well, I'm a Tamworth girl. So, yes, we used to, I must admit, I lived in Tamworth. I grew up in Tamworth. I've been in Gunnedah for 30 plus years. But we used to always go away, country music festival.
Get out of town.
Yeah, get out of town. Isn't that terrible? Yeah. But we used to do that.
No. I can relate because we lived at Mooloolaba on the Sunshine Coast, and then it started to take off and go,
crazy,
real popular. And I remember my kids were in primary school at the Mooloolaba Primary, and we used to do the sports day, fun run was always on the beach and all of that. And They were little and they'd be sitting in the car and they'd wind down the window and they had oh, my God, I forgot about this. They had a song and it was, "Go home, tourists, go home."
Exactly. It would be
and
so like
it
that.
would take, normally it'd be 5-10 minutes from our house to the beach, and it would take half an hour, nearly an hour, because, you know, everyone's, there's too many people. Same thing. Just take off when people are coming. Like if you lived in Bathurst, you know, Tamworth, Gympie, Muster, but that's out on a property and, yeah, no, that makes sense.
We were talking about Container Day. Container Day is always fraught with
Container
danger.
Day, yes.
Container Day. So,
come on, tell us.
oh my gosh, containers! I tell you,
Is that? Can I guess why?
Why?
Because you hope that what's in the container is what's meant to be in the container,
No,
what you think you
God.
ordered, and also you've got to. Oh no, you just trust that what's in there is what you need. What's meant to be.
100% trust with the factory. It's more the fact that what happens when it's on the sea? Like you think the container's coming and then it's been delayed and then it arrives and it got to customs. Customs took it and they wanted to x-ray it, which then you can't track it when it's being x-rayed. Then they release it. Then someone had to check it and had a spider, and the spider had to be then sent off to be tested. It was just,
no.
My gosh, it's always, it's so out of your control. I think that's the thing. I'm a control freak, and it is so out of your control. And, you know, the wharf is strike. So if the wharf is strike, it means that the containers don't get released from the wharf and taken to the depot, and your truck driver's just driven 5 hours to go and pick it up from the depot, and it's not at the depot, and your truckie's ringing you and saying, "I can't keep circling botany." You know, I'm like, oh my gosh.
And you're paying for it.
Exactly. So then it comes back to Gunnedah, and we unload it here. So we do everything on the farm. We've got a shed and we do all our dispatch. Yeah, hand up. Yep.
So I just need to say that I thought Container Day was this bit you're about to talk about. Yeah, it's arrived and you open it up and let's do the things we've got to sort it and send it out. But I didn't even think about all that bit prior. Container Day means it's arrived in Australia and it's at the dock and it's got to go through customs and it's got to do all the things, and then your truckie has to pick it up and take it out to you. So, yeah, what a fuck.
Container Day means it could arrive on a Tuesday and it could be released on Friday for pickup.
So it's like Container Week.
But then Container Day means it could arrive on a Tuesday and it has gone through all the processes and may not be available to pick up for 10 days. So I'm ringing the truckie going, it's going to be released tomorrow. And he goes, right, no worries, Penny. And then it's not released. Right, it's not going to be released tomorrow, but now it's Friday and the inspectors have, only worked till 3 o'clock. It's not going to get to the depot till 4 o'clock. So you've got to wait till – it's just – it's very stressful, very stressful.
So how often does that happen?
Every time a container comes in. So basically, obviously we're selling more boots, so it's becoming more of a regular occurrence, which is great. But the downside is it's that logistics, which is another thing that you're sort of trying to manage with very little knowledge. Luckily, I have this my husband's got a great mate who does a lot of logistics for his company, so I've sort of conned him into helping me. so I can sort of go, but yeah, that's another thing. But that's all right. It's a huge learning curve. Like truly, it's who would have thought?
Oh my God, I love this. So before I put my hand up and interrupted, you finally get it from that process onto the truck and it comes out to Gunnedah. Mm-hmm. Gunnedah, is that how you say it?
Yep.
Then what happens?
So then all the neighbours and friends come over and we unload the 700 boxes from the container and we put it into the shed.
I've seen the photos. I've seen photos on LinkedIn, yeah.
And I usually try and get my son home, who's in Sydney, and he's a builder, so I con him, and he was home the week the container was meant to come. But then, of course, with the customs and the spider, he had to go back. So, yes, we con in some really nice neighbours who come and very kindly help. So we've got it down pat now. We can sort of unload our container in 3 hours.
And how many boots is in that? 2,000?
2,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where do you unload them to?
So we've got a shed. We've got a shed here. So one shed is just completely boots, and we have sort of a system. My husband organises all of that, which is great, of where they all go. So then we can just dispatch from there too. So, so it's good.
And how do you do the ordering? Do people order online?
No, I don't.
Then you pop to the post office every couple of days?
Well,
what's that process?
Yeah, no, I actually, through my website, I don't really have online orders because I find that would be too hard for me to try and juggle as well. So I've got some really good distributors. So I've got like Madison Safety is a great distributor in New South Wales. I've got Nome services in Queensland. I've got the usual Atoms, etc. And they place an order and I dispatch it. So some companies, I just organise their freight. So I'll use their freight account. But I bought myself a second-hand minivan, so I load that up with boots and I drive into town to my local toll or my local TNT depot, and they very kindly help me unpack or palletise them or whatever needs to be done, and off they go.
What colour is your van?
White.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love this story so much. This is amazing. And we use Toll a bit, and I just found out they're changing their name.
Oh.
Did you get that email?
No.
They're changing to, it's 3 words, sounds like, Toll, not, I don't know, I can't even remember. Some weird thing. I at first thought it was a spam email, and then I'm like, no, it says Toll Group, we are rebranding shortly to Toll something, 3 words.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder, because I know they got hacked cyber-wise during COVID. I know that was a big issue.
Oh, maybe.
Because I know TNT, I think, is now FedEx.
Oh, are they?
Mm.
Yeah, right. Because FedEx is... Yeah. Oh, she's got her hand up. I need a drink. I can't love you any more than I do right now.
Now, can I go to the loo?
No. Of course you can go to the loo, dickhead.
I'll be back.
Okay, and all right. I'm going too then.
You were actually about to go to Cal. We're doing some trials down there with Barminco and Evolution Mining. So we'll pack up our minivan and head down there on Sunday.
Oh, has your van got a name?
No, and everyone says I should put a sign on it, but I don't know. I've actually had one accident already in my van, and I don't know whether I'm a good advertisement. I think it's better not knowing that it's a Crawford Boots van with my driving. It's just so different driving a van. Like it's,
it is.
There's a real blind spot, which is I noticed when I ran into somebody.
Yeah. Hence the running into someone.
Yes.
When my kids were little, I had a van, a Mitsubishi Express, and it was tan colour, and I always had 100 kids in there, it felt like, all the netball team and all of that. And her name was Venus. Venus the van.
Oh, that's perfect.
Me and the girls called it, which is why I asked. And what colour?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
I really relate to it.
Yeah, mine's a second-hand police van, so it's only 2 seats at the front. And it's so funny when we, drive to Sydney in the van and my kids just go, oh, my God, I cannot believe you're driving the van. I'm like, yep.
I'm rocking it through Sydney too, over the bridge.
I know.
Oh, my God. So I do have a couple of questions that have come up over the years, and obviously knowing I was coming up to chat to you, so I'm like, right, I know just the person. So, actually, before we get into that, caustic boots. Do you know anything about that? boots, caustic boots. I know someone who's going to a site and they have to wear caustic boots, and we've never heard of them.
So caustic boots are probably ones that will protect against any sort of caustic substances. So my boots being used at, say, Olympic Dam refinery, where there's a lot of sulfuric acid. So, so your boots should have a level of protection, whether it's fuel, oil resistant. There's some boots, obviously, that are used by the fire department, which are fire retardant. But the majority of the boots will be resistant to a certain amount of caustic. What's the wrong word of caustic? Caustic substances, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you'd have to know what sort of caustic, like what are they talking about? Acid? Are they talking about,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because there's different Australian standards for all the things, and that's what she's looking into. She wants to know because they said, well, you get to site and we've got all these boots, you'll be right. And you go on there for 2 weeks, which is a couple of the things I want to cover next, is about when you've got bad boots and the things that could happen. She would rather get her boots, wear them in a bit, find them out. So she's just saying, what's the Australian standard? What are the numbers and the figures and the,
if she needs a hand, I know all the standards because I had to do that for the boots. And so if she needs a hand in working out what the site requirement is asking for, and then which boot has that same level of safety, I can definitely help her.
And because she's got such little feet.
Yeah.
She's basically a size 7. So when she told the lady, oh, no, because she's doing all the onboarding and all that sort of stuff, and she's in Perth at the moment going through a week-long, shenanigans of all the things. She said when they told her, we've got all the boots there, you'll be right, there's heaps to choose from. What size are you? And she said, well, she got her partner to go and have a look. And the average, because, they're all different sizes, the average boot size was a 7. And this girl said, oh, you do have small feet. She's like, well, yeah, I do, which is my point. And especially doing 2-week swing, you want to
be comfortable.
Yes, and which is some of the questions I wrote down last night, right? Some of the issues I've had with shit boots or boot things. First of all, going back to, I wrote down when we were talking about the real miners' boots, and I had 2 pairs up at my boot tree, just underneath because they're too big to hang on the tree.
Yeah,
underground. Real miner boots, they're massive, so they just lean up against the trunk. But one of them went missing, and it turned out that next door to me, they've got dogs. They had a puppy, and the dogs came and stole the frickin' boot. And took back to the puppy, and I could see it all ripped up around the yard, leather, lace up, ones that obviously have fallen apart. And they can only come in because we had a really big, not quite a cyclone, but nearly a cyclone blew over some of my fence, and it's still down.
Yeah.
And so they just come over, which is not, it's not fun. But anyway, it's up near the road. It's not right by the house. I'm like, they've taken the real miners' bloody boots. And I had just done an interview or a podcast with my sister, and we were talking about flying in and flying out, and boots came up and stuff. And she said in some sites you've got to watch out for the dingoes because they'll steal your boots if you leave them outside the door, because they take them back for the puppies to chew on the leather for their teeth. They take them to. She went to this one site. This one band camp over in WA, and they showed her the stockpile of boots at this little dingo camp. And I'd never heard that before. I'm like, bloody hell, mate, never heard of that. And then within 2 weeks,
that happened.
The bloody dog next door to me stole the real miner's boot.
I just thought it would be the smell. You know how I just thought that's what they'd love, the smell. I wouldn't have thought that it would be the
cheesy
the
feet smell. Well, that's what she thought. Like, there's a reason. Like, it's not food. It's not, you know, and because they're chewing up all sorts. Yeah, they chew things up. It'd be good for, you know, their teething. So I was at this one band camp, and I just started. I'd had a year off mining to, you know, go and change the world, which didn't happen, so I had to go back. And I had extra boots in my cupboard. I take these funky purple ones out there, and I started wearing them, and the soles started falling off because they'd been sitting in the cupboard and not being used. And apparently it's a thing with the soles of safety boots, the you know, the short ones is all I know about. If you don't use them, the soles can get real brittle and they just fall apart. And I ended up with these big, massive blisters on my heels. I could hardly walk. I looked like a weirdo. I'm the new old lady anyway, and I was walking weird. The big, massive chunks were coming off, Penny. And I ended up going into... I had to go to Moranbah to get some to the chemist on our... We had a pajama day then, so change over from day to night shift. And I went into Moranbah and to the chemist and got these big, massive blister
packs.
Yeah, and wore those. And I have heard from quite a few people that it's a common occurrence.
Look, I can't say that I have heard of it. And, I mean, maybe it's because what you find with the leather boot, you've got leather upper and you've got rubber sole. And so because their bond is... So with my boots, they're rubber upper and rubber sole, and they're bonded through vulcanization, which is putting them in like a big pottery kiln. That's just, you know, telling you what it's like, but it's obviously not pottery, but it's obviously under high temperature and it bonds it. So they're perfect bond. Whereas maybe the leather and maybe the rubber, and maybe if it's stiff and hasn't moved, and then when you go to try and flex it, it then disintegrates. I have seen them disintegrate across that sort of where your forefoot or where your foot flexes if it hasn't been used and splits there. But I've never really heard of... I've heard of people wearing them out from wearing them excessively, not from not wearing them. It's interesting.
Right. Yes. Well, put that one into your knowledge cabinet, because you're bonding in the kiln. I love that. That makes sense to me, that they kind of glued together.
That's right, yeah.
With the same substance. Yeah, so it's something that Mad Mumsy tells people to, you know, don't leave them too long, because I kept them for... I had 2 pairs of purple ones because back then, every year we got a new issue of boots and clothing, and then it got to a point where it was like, you need to bring your old boots in, you need to bring your old shirt in and prove that we need to get you a new one. You know, like, what a joke, mate. Like, it was ridiculous. This one guy, I'll just share this, he went to a pre-start meeting and knew that all the big kahunas were going to be there, and he wore his oldest shirt that he had, and it had rips in it and all of that, and they were like, what's the go there, mate? Why are you know, don't you think you might like to present yourself a bit better at work? And he said, well, I haven't had time to go and take this shirt into the office to plead my case for a new one. And they were horrified. They didn't even realise that was the new system that had come in. But But it was a bit ridiculous because when you get a good pair of boots, they're yours.
Exactly. You just want to wear them forever.
They feel like home. Yeah. You want to wear them forever. I want to wear them at home. And if I had of, I might not have hurt my feet so much. But so I saved the good ones. I had these, the first time the purple ones came out, they were a bit funky, you know, and it was a fundraiser for breast cancer.
Yep.
And then they did blue ones for prostate cancer.
Yep.
Yeah, which is all great initiatives. And I kept the purple ones because we had a music festival here, real hippie Winter Moon Music Festival, folk festival. Yeah. Up here, up in the hills, you know, not far from here, and I thought they'll fit in perfect there, so I wore them up there. And then a year later I got another, and then I started wearing them to work all the time. And then I got another purple pair. I thought, oh, keep them for best. And then when I went back to mining, and it was within a year, and they literally fell apart. Oh, my God.
And it's so annoying too, because you know how you got things you think, oh, no, I won't wear those because I'll keep that for a better occasion, whereas if they're really comfortable, you should just wear them out, shouldn't you? Wear them nonstop. Yeah, so many things we do that with, not only shoes but with other things, and Yeah,
and that comes back to your, what was this?
The circular economy,
Circular. I'm doing this with my fingers, people. Circle. I'm making a circle. Circular economy is, if you find something that you love, just keep wearing it and wear it out and then get something else.
That's exactly right.
Or move it on to the next part.
Rather than hoarding it and keeping it, hoarding it, I'll save it for later, You don't need 10 of them. You just need one. Wear it to its depth and then start with another.
Yeah. So, with boots, what are your thoughts on socks? Bamboo socks, which I've started wearing, but bloody hell, they take forever to dry.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, they do, don't they? I love bamboo socks, and it's sort of...
I don't not love them. They just take a long time to dry.
It's one of those hard ones because I know when I worked as a podiatrist, we'd always sort of try and recommend 100% cotton, but you've got to have a little bit of the nylon flexibility in the sock as well. Bamboo I love. I also loved socks that were slightly compression. I really like those because I found my feet, if they got cold and you can pull them all the way up your legs. But it is, like I could never recommend one particular sock. But, I mean, I think the more natural the better because, let's face it, if you're in a boot, you're in this occlusive, and when I say occlusive, it means there's no air circulating. So if you're in a sock that's full of nylon and you're in a little hot area and you're in a boot that adds another lot of heat, your feet can sweat so much that they look like they've been in a bath for 10 hours. So it's not a great thing. And that's when you get funguses and that's when you get those sorts of not great things because bacteria loves warm, moist, humid environments. Nothing better than inside a sock and a boot that doesn't breathe. So, think about your sock. Try and go for more natural so you'll allow that airflow.
And that is something that a lot of people don't think about either. And add to that you're in a humid environment, you're in a warm environment. So do you recommend airing out your boots? Like getting a bit of sunshine in them or anything? I used to like putting them outside, but then I heard about, watch out for the snakes coming in, watch out for and then you hear about bloody dingoes stealing.
I always thought sunshine was such a good sterilising agent. So I don't think it hurts at all. Getting them out. Ventilation is good too, sunshine in a ventilated area. Obviously, if your boots are wet, you want to get them dry so that you don't have to put your feet in wet boots the next day. So, even those things, those upside down sort of poles that you hang your boots on or any of those sorts of things. So, it's always good to get a bit of air, a bit of fresh air into anything, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. And so do yours open up much?
No, they
Or
don't.
be hard because they're so high?
Well, no, they can't because they've got to be waterproof.
Yeah.
So you've got to have that complete. I mean, obviously they open up and you can tip them upside down, but they do, dry out. And in underground mines, they sometimes have drying rooms where you put all your stuff so that it will dry for the next shift. So you can sometimes go from really wet environments to quite hot and warm environments. So, yeah, socks and shoes. But, a gumboot is a really tough one because your foot is not meant to get wet. So it's meant to be completely sealed off. So it's always going to be a bit of an occlusive type of warm environment that not a lot of air circulating.
Yeah. No matter what, there's not much you can do around that. So how do you seal off the top? Is the top sealed off?
Often the top, no.
On the inside, no.
So basically, you've got the zip. So if you undo the zip, it's all in a waterproof sort of gusset. But the top, what they do is, I was going to put like a bit of a gaiter at the top, but a lot of my wearers' feedback was they like having a little bit of air circulating. So when you've got that gaiter, it just makes it even moist. And what I also find is when I go to lots of sites, it's amazing what they shove down their boot, zippy ties and, it's almost like it's a little bit of a... It truly is.
It's in like a pocket.
It's like a pocket.
Are they stealing shit in there?
No, they're just taking stuff to go down. Yeah, but they're just like, it's just like, I look at them and I go, oh, my God, look what else they're shoving down their boot. So it's just like a pocket.
Bloody real miners, right?
There you go. So
you never know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I never would have thought of putting anything.
All right, next time when I go to the next place, if I see someone doing that, I'll take a photo and send it to you.
Oh my God, yes, that'd be gold.
Yep.
That would be gold.
Because the inside, as I said, of my boots are neoprene as well, which is like a wetsuit. So that can make them a bit warmer, but also the inside of a gumboot's gauze, and when your foot moves a lot and when it gets wet inside, the gauze becomes like sandpaper. So when your foot moves, you've got like this sandpaper rubbing against it, which causes that rash and stuff like that. So, so the inside is a little bit warmer, but it's just a lot more cushioning and comfortable.
Yeah, and because your boots are so much more supportive than other boots, especially, there's not as much movement, so you're not getting that rubbing effect, which causes all the... I've seen some underground...
Yeah.
Not pretty.
I've seen a lot of underground feet too.
Yeah. A shitload more than me, mate, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So what about when you go to a mine site, you'd have to wear steel cap boots?
Yep.
Do you wear the short ones or do you wear yours?
I wear mine.
The girls! I knew you'd say that.
I know, it's so funny.
Do you wear them with a pair of shorts and a long jacket?
No, I've got to wear it full on.
I can see that sexy look,
Oh, it's so not sexy.
High boots, short shirt, short skirt, long jacket. There's a song in there somewhere.
Could you imagine rocking up to site with that? No. It's full PPE, and it was funny because when one of the first places we went to was Forestania out in WA, and you could only take a certain amount of stuff. And so, of course, I had to wear my boots because I couldn't pack them in the and I remember one guy saying to me, oh, my God, you must love those boots. You have not taken them off for 3 days. I'm like, I know, because I've got no room to put them anywhere and I don't want to carry them around, so I just wear them. I wore them on the plane. I wore them to food,
to dinner,
That's
to
right.
the event,
That's right.
to the gala ball.
Yeah, not quite a ball on site, but anyway,
No, I'm only stirring you up. And that's a big part of what my podcast episode with Drew was about for FIFO. It was about packing and the weight of your boots. And that is actually one, atta girl, good segue. How much do your boots weigh?
The boots actually weigh probably about 300 to 400 grams more than the regular gum boots. So not that much more, but in total.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. But it's funny because when people pick them up.
Considering how much more of a boot there is.
And when people pick them up, they go, oh, they're heavy. But when they actually put them on and they fit, it means your foot doesn't have to physically lift that weight up. It just works. So it doesn't feel
it's gone
heavy.
With you.
Yeah.
It's I'm swaying side to side.
Front
it's like
back, yeah.
the boot is moving with you.
Yeah.
Instead of like
you're physically having to hold it on.
So much.
Yeah.
Like a thong. I'm never wearing thongs again.
Well,
I need a little strap around the back.
Well, I mean, have you ever tried the Birkenstocks? I shouldn't probably say that name, but
yes,
they're amazing.
Yeah, with the like what they sell at the chemist.
Yeah, they're amazing, and the fact that
they're not thongs though, right? Because they don't go between your big toe.
Yeah, but no, they do go between your big toe, but then they come up. They come up on the top of your foot, which means that it holds your foot in, so you don't have to. It's not just in that toe area; it comes up on the top. So that's the trick. It holds your foot in, so it means that your toes don't have to grip.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think maybe some of my Crocs have been like
that. Yeah, exactly. So your Crocs in and they come up higher.
And yes.
Yeah.
And so so revelation. So that yes, it's not just the sole of the Croc that is more supportive than the Kmart $3 thong.
Yeah, it's the top part, and they've got that loop at the back, so it holds you in. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's helping too. Yeah. And because they've got nice sandals, but they're actual Crocs, the ones that you slide in with the holes in them.
Yeah.
They don't fit at all.
Yeah.
I just wear them if I have to go and walk in my creek here. On top of the rocks, they're good for that, or in water.
Well, I think the thing is,
but they're not good for your feet.
No, but it's also you're not wearing them for 12 hours.
No, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God! All right. What's next for Crawford Boots? More of the same, or you got any other things?
Got any other things? What's next is just to keep going. I mean, I'm involved with a pilot project which is about the boots being part of the circular economy. So that's what I'm really focusing on next. I really was wanting to add value, continue adding value, and I think that's going to be really important because basically the boots, when they're broken down, they produce high levels of hydrogen and carbon, which is something that is required in green steel production. So the boots, as well as tyres and other things, can be used at their end of life, shredded, and then being used instead of using, all coking coal. You can use, other rubber polymers and other polymers. So it's pretty exciting. So that's my next focus, is sort of making sure that the boots, obviously they're a very small part of this project in comparison to tyres and stuff, but it's exciting to be involved and be part of it. But focusing on that so that actually does happen. So the boots can, they're the best boots for mining, but also they'll be the best boots for the environment.
Oh, my God, that's so good. Yeah. And so then you need to find a way to encourage your the people wearing your boots to do the right thing at the end of their life.
It's more the fact that most people that wear my boots are on a site. So the boots are supplied by the company, and they would know there's bathhouses chock-a-block full of gumboots. They just go into a skip bin and go into landfill. So the idea is that there could be receptacles for those Crawford boots to go into, and whether there's the possibility of getting a mobile shredder out to site which does all the rubber part of the conveyor belts, does tyres, does the boots, does the whole lot, transporting that back to where the green steel will be produced in Newcastle, or that's still things that have got to be worked out. But the fact is that instead of them becoming part of landfill, they can become part of the circular economy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah.
That is so good. And just just getting them out to more people.
Well, yes,
and you
exactly.
can have four containers arriving at the same time, and you'll have a team of people who do the things.
Well, that's right. No, it's exactly
so is that your goal to just get bigger and better and more people but get support, because you don't want to burn yourself out either, mate.
No, and
you've got to be careful of that.
Exactly. I've got a good team. Like, I don't have employees. That was my husband and myself, but I've got a really good team. So there's somebody that I can call on if I need legal advice. I've obviously got an accountant. I've got people helping me with the marketing side, because that's one thing that I don't have. I'm not probably focused on that because I don't have a lot of interest in that. The sales side I love, because I love sort of meeting new customers and going to site and that sort of thing. So I really want to keep that going. I've met the most amazing people. I have met just phenomenal people in the mining industry. So I really enjoy that. And, we just want to keep improving, getting bigger, getting better, providing value and making sure that everybody is wearing a pair of Crawford boots. They're not just for special feet, they're for everybody.
I love that. They're not just for special feet. They're for everybody's feet. You nailed it right there. You are a good salesman. And I can but I can see everything you said feels right. I'm not doing the marketing because that doesn't interest me. But what interests you is doing the sales, and for a lot of people, like, I'm the opposite. I'd be more, let me create the design for the thing and put it out to social media. You go sell it for me. But because you have started this from your passion, your knowledge, what you've learned from everyone's feet, where you saw there was an opening in the market, then you've gone through all the process of designing it and trialing it and taking it out and getting feedback and tweaking it here and there, and then getting them and then sharing them, and now you are the best person to be the salesperson, because you've just sold them to me, mate, and I don't even go underground. Or, and they're not even pink, mate. I want some. God. No, but I do like the coloured insert. I could like a nice orange one.
And that's the thing, and that's why I keep saying, I'm really happy. Part of my services, or part of the Crawford Boots, is I can come to site. And I love doing that, because it means that if there's questions, they can ask me. They're not asking the safety manager, who has to then ask someone else, who has to then ask me. I'm happy to come to site. And look, my boots, I think, are the best, but everybody's different, and everyone's allowed to like a different pair of boots, and they're not going to fit everybody. So, and I'm really open to feedback and criticism, because that's just obviously the way you get better. But usually if I go to site, I have 5,000 questions from everyone about their toenails, or about their ankle, or about their leg, or about their whatever, which is great, which is fine. I'm really happy to always answer that. And
So the podiatrist in you never goes away, which is where I started in the podcast episodes. Like, I got shit feet.
I know. I say that I'm no longer, and I'm not a registered podiatrist anymore, because that was a conscious decision, because a lot of people, in the country, there's not many podiatrists, so people would ring and say, "Could you come and work?" And I felt guilty, and now I can say, "No, I'm not registered," but it never leaves you. Yeah.
Yeah. And to stay registered, I'm assuming it's like most of those sort of modalities, you have to keep up and do your
CPD and exactly. Yeah.
All the things. Yeah. And if you've moved beyond that, you don't need to.
No,
you've
that's
got
exactly
containers to unpack.
You've
got bloody containers to sort, mate.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Oh. All right. Well, we might start closing up.
All right.
You ready for that?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Right. One of the questions I like to ask at the end, usually, of the podcast is, what is your special place when life turns to shit? How do you personally handle tough times? What are your strategies to hang in there, Penny?
I do retreat a bit. I often step back and lick my wounds. There's no doubt about that. I think I have to do that. Sometimes I think when times are tough, it's more of an opportunity. Like, you know, obviously you've got to have time to mourn and work out what went wrong or vent or whatever you need to do. But you just got to get back on. You just got to pull up those big girl pants and keep going. And I think you got to be resilient. And for me, I retreat. I do retreat and think for a while. But I don't know, it just makes me more determined.
So when you say you retreat, do you retreat to the garden or Netflix or
a book?
Go for a walk.
A book. I go into a shell and I read a book, and I'm terrible when I start reading a book because I cook reading the book. I'm the worst. If I live near the beach, I would be on the beach. That to me, just having ocean, water, if I could, yeah, that would be, but I'm 5 hours, so it's a 5-hour drive to the beach. So really it's not, yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of books do you like?
Oh my God, I love my local library. I go to my library and I get out masses of books. What do I like? Terrible. I love a lot of murder. Bit of murder.
Cool.
I know, a bit of murder mystery.
Yes.
Then I do love other ones. Like there's a book that I read called A Little Life, and it's enormous, and it's harrowing, but it's about 4 boys and just the most amazing friendship. So I loved it. I love that. I've read the funniest book recently, The Thursday Murder Club. Have you ever read that?
No.
Oh, so good. And it's written in quite a quirky way. It's it's great. It's not murder like thriller killer, but it's funny. I'm quite diverse. Like, I go to the library and I've got this fantastic woman at the local library, and she goes, "Oh, Penny, you're going to love this, and Penny, you're going to love that." And they put little things in books, and so I can go around and pick all the books, and love reading. And I've just started watching Downton Abbey. I'm probably the last person in the world, but I'm loving that.
Oh, wow. And you've got years and years to go.
I know. I have not even. I haven't even.
I love it too. It's
so gorgeous.
Escape.
Yeah.
It was so sad when it stopped. I never watched it from the start. I kind of grew into it. I don't even know. There's probably only 3 years left. So that's a good idea to watch it from the start. But it's such an escape, and it's just
it is,
so
isn't
different.
It?
It's just so freaking different.
It is, and I'm loving that. So that's and I'm a binger. Like, I'll start and I'll just binge, and then I won't watch anything for 6 months, and then I'll have a bit of a binge again. But no, I'm a constant reader. I love it, and I feel like I'm in a different world. That's how I completely escape and don't think about the computer. I hated COVID because I was sort of stuck at my computer. I hate that. Not good with that.
Because you couldn't get out and be in the real world with the real miners.
Well, talking to people, I suppose.
Do you go... Yeah, but did you go on Zooms and stuff like that? I know it's not the same, but...
I hate Zoom. Like, this is a good Zoom, but
you hate Zoom. Well, we're Zooming right now for those of you who are listening.
But you know how you'd go on a Zoom and there was like 20 people on the Zoom, and, you could never talk. I like being in a room with someone. I like reading a conversation. I like reading people's body language. I really miss that. I almost go up and hug people now because I'm like, oh, it's so nice to be sitting in a room with you, not doing it via Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I use Zoom for our interviews, is because you can see the body language. I can put my hand up.
Yeah. But if there's 20, and you sort of can't, I found that really hard. I actually found I was really naughty. You know, I'd switch off the camera and I'd listen, but then I'd clean my office while I was on my Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there, done that too, mate. And as I showed you when we came back from our toilet break, I have my Brisbane Lions pajama bottoms on.
Oh, that's all right.
I've got my Lions top on and my cat hat.
I've got my fluffy slippers.
I love them.
So,
oh, they are nice. And okay, you, my podiatrist, new bestie. I haven't worn slippers for quite a few years, well, at least 2, since my feet started playing up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, last thing I need is to be wearing cheap slippers. But now that we have had this chat, it's not something I'm wearing for hours and hours at a time.
That's right.
And I have released a lot of my past crap that has gone down the drain, and
it's out
the feet.
It's out.
Which is why my feet are improving as well, I think.
No, I agree.
And Michelle's reflexology and my hard hat mentor blisters, steel cap sisters, Crocs that she keeps sending me, and money, here, go buy some more.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Isn't she? And I get them from Anaconda.
Yep.
Anaconda? Is that,
yes,
that's it.
Yes.
And they're always on special 20% off, which must be like the normal
I know, it's exactly
price.
normal.
I don't know. It's always 20% off.
Yeah.
But they have different colours and different ranges, and I did buy a pair of thongs from there, and they were men's, because I liked they were just leather, probably leather, but the colour, but they were a bit too big, and so they were a bit of a waste of $40.
Mm.
So, Penny, in closing, do you have anything that you're super excited about right now that you want to share with us?
I think the thing I'm most excited about is this green steel circular economy pilot project, which we're involved with New South Wales University Smart Centre, as well as Molly Copp Steel and the AMGC, which is the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centre. And we're working with Professor Veena Sahajwala. Do you know who that is? That you need to watch.
No.
ABC Story Tipping Point. She's the most amazing woman. She was the New South Wales Australian of the Year, and she's the one who's developed green steel. She's also developed, like, making ceramic tiles out of clothing and glass, recycled clothing and glass. You know who I'm talking about, yeah.
I saw her. Would she have been on the Australia Day, like when they did each person from each state who's going to win?
Yep.
She was New South Wales one.
She was the New South Wales one.
I did see that.
So she's amazing. So that's what I'm really excited about. Obviously, you know, continuing to grow, and but that's a really exciting project.
Oh, wow. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that evolves.
Yeah, no, it'll be
everything
good.
Else.
Yeah.
Everything else in your journey. And is there anything else that you would like to say to call this episode complete for you?
I'd like to say thank you, because you have always supported me, and that support means, you know, it's a huge thing, because it's lovely that women support other women, and it's lovely people in the industry are supporting me. So it's a great thing, and that's what I consider one of my small wins. You know, when you say you have to celebrate the small wins, those sorts of things are small wins and are really important. So so thank you.
Oh, thank you. And a big hello from my sister as well. She said, make sure I said hello.
Aww.
She couldn't, you know, she'd love to be in with us.
Yeah.
But, she's doing things. So big hello from her, and she's one of your champion supporters as well.
Yeah, God, that makes a difference. Thank you.
Your Steel Cap sisters, we're there for you, mate. Anytime you reach out.
That's brilliant. Thank you. It's good to have that. That is so important.
We all need that. You need that support. You need people that have got your back, people that just say, it's all right,
Exactly.
Keep
what
going. Boots have you got on now? Change those boots. You know, we're all about what boots have you got on and what boots you need to put on.
Hat you got on, what, as in what are you juggling? How, it's just
exactly. And instead of hat, we say boots.
Yeah.
And perfect for you, right?
Yes.
Works
our boot perfectly,
lady.
yes.
Yes.
The crazy boot lady, yes.
Oh, crazy. Yes, definitely crazy now after this conversation. Yes. No, thank you so much. Where is the best place that people can get in touch with you? I will leave all the links and all the things in the show notes, which will be madmumsy.com/beers86. But if they want to say, hey, Penny, I love you and I want 2 containers of boots.
Oh, happy days.
Oh, my God, fry time. What's the best place to find you?
Probably my website, which is www.crawfordboots.com.au, which has got how you can contact me, ring me. I'm always happy to talk on the phone or answer any emails. We also do have social media with the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn with Crawford Boots. So would love a follow, love any sort of feedback that they're happy to give. Or orders for 2,000 pairs of boots.
Yeah.
Very happy to take that.
Yes. And if anyone like a mine manager or someone like that is listening, what I love the most about, well, there's so many things. How can I say that it's the most? But what I love is that you're willing to go to their site and come and see them and bring some boots and have a try on and get your people out the hole and, well, when they're out the hole, let's not make any downtime. But, just you're there to answer all their questions and to give them a shot and give them a try. Yeah,
I can do that. I can run the trials. So basically I've got all the surveys. I can do all that. I fit the boots, make sure they've got the right size because you don't want to always be, I'm a size 9 when you're actually a size 8. Fit the boots, make sure they've got the right ones, give them the surveys, get them to fill that out, all that sort of stuff. I can collate all the feedback so then we can present and say, look, you've had 25 people wearing the boots. You've got 25 people that, find them a better fit and less slips, less trips, less chance of those sorts of things happening. And just it's about being proactive rather than reactive. Don't wait for an injury. Let's do something before that happens.
I love that. And one of the things I've got out of this chat with you, Penny, especially, is that it all starts at your feet. It if you've got people with sore back on site and all the things, it's a saying I say all the time, all the things. But your feet are your foundation.
Yep.
So get that right, and that is going to help so much. And
absolutely.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That really is huge. Thank you, Penny,
My
for
pleasure.
Coming on. It's time to say goodbye now. We could chat all day, and I have been known to. All the links we discussed in this episode are at madmumsy.com/beers86. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
So there you go. Thank you so much to Penny Crawford from Crawford Boots. I have a brand new friend. I loved our connection. It was amazing, and we chatted for ages and went to places that I was not expecting. So I did not expect to share all of my drama with my feet with you, or even my grandson with his wellies. And it's really important for us to look after our feet because we're on them all the time. And when you start working in mining, if you're not already, or whatever industry, and you have to wear these steel cap boots, they're a lot heavier on your whole body because there's a weight on the end, I know I notice that when I haven't been wearing them for a while, and then I do. So think about that. But also how important our feet are our foundation, and to have the support of the foundation that looks after our knees and our hips and our back and our neck and our shoulders. Like, it starts at the bottom, doesn't it? And Penny explained that so well. So if you are having any trouble in your body, maybe go and see your local friendly podiatrist. What I did do was go to my local, I think it's Athlete's Foot, where you can walk on their very special treadmill and it shows up your feet. And so it highlights which parts of your feet are actually touching the ground and which parts aren't. And I think they might film it from the back. I've only done it once. And it was really good because when my feet were playing up, I thought that I had flat feet or something like that. But no, there was none of that with me. And even my gait, my walking action was pretty good. And they tried to sell me a really expensive pair of shoes, which I didn't buy, but I did get a good lesson out of it. And I think I ended up going back there and buying a pair of shoes maybe about a year later. So, you've got that. That's my marketing brain working. The customer rapport there, and the people in there were really young and cool and sporty, but they also acknowledged my age and weren't weird about it. Anyway, bit of a side tangent, but go and get that. That's something you can do. Go to your local Westfield shopping centre, find your Athlete's Foot, go in and have a free walk on their thing, and they'll analyse your feet. After that or before that, if you want, go and see a podiatrist and get help, especially if you're having trouble with your feet or if you're having trouble with other parts of your body. It might be worth it, right? I have my hips, I never brought that up, but my hips kind of drop out every now and again. It's like walking along and go, even my grandsons say, "Oh, did your hip pop out, Nana?" I remember in my 20s, I forgot about this. I went and saw a doctor and said, "I think I need a hip replacement." And he might as well have laughed and spat his water all in my face. He said, "I'll put money on it that you don't." It did turn out that I was having back issues. So it's all connected, like Penny is saying. Get our shit sorted, right? In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. This is the week that our beloved Queen passed away. So sending love and thoughts to the world, really, for losing such a legendary lady. And I've got many family connections where the Queen, it just triggers so many memories. And I've grown up with the Queen, like so many of us, I'm getting on a bit, and she's just always been there. And my mum was sharing that she went and saw the Queen and, waved the flag and did all the things like so many people did. I did not do that. I don't think I was ever anywhere where she came. Otherwise, I probably would have gone and had a gander, Also, being from South Australia, there's so many English people down there. And that's what I always say about my accent. Oh, people say, "What part of England are you from?" I'm not from England. I'm just from South Australia, which has come up on the podcast before. So it's a new world we're about to launch in once we have this time of mourning and then a public holiday for, in Australia. But there's even a few arguments around that. So interesting to see what unfolds. But yes, I did want to take a moment to share my thoughts about our Queen Elizabeth. And she's up there with her hubby now. Remember that vision of her sitting during COVID at his funeral and Prince Philip, her husband, I think so, all on her own. And because there was a major social distancing, and it was one of the saddest pictures you ever see, Now they're wherever they are, rocking it, having a good time. Up there hanging out with all my angels as well. It also makes me think how life, can just change so fast. So let's live life and enjoy it and get out there and do our things and have fun. Live in the present. I tend to live in the, I do live in the past a bit, but more in the future. I'm planning, I'm thinking, what am I going to do instead of actually doing it? So it's good to take time to be present, enjoy those loved ones around us. And if you want more of me, more of Mad Mumsy, head to mining.teachable.com. There's heaps of resources over there. I have some live calls that I'm going to start doing. So if you head to madmumsy.com/webinar, maybe webinars, I shall share the link in the show notes, madmumsy.com/biz86. You'll get on an email list and then I can say, hey, click this link, come and join me, let's have a rant. All right, that's enough from me. Thank you so much for listening right to the end. I always love hearing from my listeners. So if you find me on any of the socials or in the email or through the website, whatever you want to do, please say hi. I love it. Makes my day, makes me want to keep doing it. Okay, I'm going to go and finish this episode now. All right, until next time, stay safe, be real, be special, and have fun. And live in the present. Walk tall on your feet. Hit up Penny Crawford from Crawford Boots and get yourself a funky pair of wellies. Well, they're not real funky, like they're not real flowers or anything, but find an artist and paint them up. No, get your workplace. If you work underground or if you work in the place where you have to have them, like in the open cut and you're a pumpy or something, get them to touch base with Crawford Boots because you need to look after your feet. Okay? Tell them Mad Mumsy said. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Love you. See you. Bye. See you next time. Cheers.